Usually people invest, looking at the scheme and the fund manager. Quant ki case mein, there is no one face, right?
Yes.
You mentioned 200 plus
Yes.
researchers.
Yes.
As a retail investor, मुझे क्या देखना चाहिए?
Trend is simple. Money is moving from active to passive. Money is moving from... What people need to understand is कि not just that कि मैंने अपने फंड को क्वांट बोल दिया तो सारे क्वांट फंड्स का परफॉर्मेंस सेम आने वाला है.
Certain quant funds in the first 1-2 years they have given massive returns, but eventually the returns are decreasing now. What do you think could be the reason behind?
I'll tell you. The phase between 21 to 24 actually was largely momentum driven. So a lot of people build their models favoring momentum.
As you also mentioned, multi-asset is the new theme. How long do you think this will last? What makes Indian investors unique?
Behaviorally, how retail behaves, I don't think is different anywhere else. Yes, we have seen a big trend over the last now close to 5 years.
Should they look at only emerging markets or developed market like US?
For a first-time investor, it's like this, right? Let's say if I was investing for the first time in the equity market, would I start with a small cap fund or would I start with a large cap fund?
So Bhautik, we are going to switch gears now. Sure. We are going to start our rapid fire round. I'll ask couple
Sounds interesting.
Welcome back to Investing with Fires, the show where we sit down with some of the sharpest minds in markets, money, and everything in between. If you have been investing for a while, you have probably heard terms like quant fund, algo trading, systematic investing thrown around almost interchangeably. But very few people actually understand what is happening under the hood. Today, we are going to change that. Our guest today leads a firm that doesn't invest on gut feel and definitely doesn't panic when markets fall 10% in a week. AlphaGrep is a global quant investment firm with over 16 years of experience. They trade on more than 30 exchanges globally, manage close to $1 billion across asset classes, and now bringing that institutional grade framework to Indian retail investors through mutual fund route. I'm joined by Bhautik Ambani, CEO and director of AlphaGrep. Bhautik has spent his career across some of the most respected names in Indian finance: Avendus Capital, Ambit, Kotak Wealth Management, and Mirae Asset, before taking the helm at AlphaGrep. He's also been recognized as one of India's most promising finance professionals in the 40 under 40 category. Bhautik, a very warm welcome to Investing with Fires.
Thank you, Kanika. Thank you for having us here.
Now, before we get into the details, can you give us a quick 30-second on what does AlphaGrep do?
Sure. So, see, as a firm, we are a 16-year-old firm. Our DNA is systematic investing. So when I say systematic investing is, in common terms, what people would call as quant investing.
Yes.
The firm was started by two of my colleagues who are the two co-founders of AlphaGrep. So Mohit Mutreja, Prashant Mittal, other two co-founders. Before starting AlphaGrep, they come from a background which is again to do with the quant world. So both of them are Wharton pass outs. After passing out, worked with some of the largest global names in the quant space. So they worked with firms like Citadel, D. Shaw, AQR. Came to India, started AlphaGrep back in 2010. The firm started off with, just with proprietary trading, right? Which means they were just investing the firm's capital. Let's kind of fast forward to what we've grown to today. So as a firm today, we run two verticals. So one where we just do proprietary investments, what is called prop trading. And the second is where we manage third-party capital. Two things that the firm has invested in a big way, which is people, and second is technology. So half of our firm is quantitative researchers and traders. So 200 plus quant researchers, traders, which I think is a big asset.
Yeah.
The second, like I said, is technology. And that's where it comes to data, right? So we have more than 100 people on the technology side, what we call technologists. So these are the guys who kind of built our entire tech stack, connectivity to exchanges, data, all of that is managed by them. Even from a people standpoint, sort of the 450 employees that we have more than 300 engineers.
Yeah.
Because ultimately for running quant strategies, that is what is important, right? You need to have that combination of science with, market intelligence, finance. So we have 300 plus engineers. We've invested in very high quality talent. So broadly, close to 200 of them would be, if they have passed out of an engineering college in India, they will be from the top 3 or 4 IITs in India. So again, a very high pedigree talent pool out there.
Yep.
So that's the kind of people that we've invested in, right? Whether it's on the proprietary side or on the asset management side. That's exactly what we're looking to leverage and now bring to retail. With us very recently, a month back, we got our mutual fund license.
Yeah, congratulations for that.
Thank you so much. So if you see our journey, AlphaGrep started with just prop. The last 4 years, we managed to bring that, exposure to high net worths, institutions, family offices. and now into retail.
Yeah. So अभी जैसे आप retail में आ रहे हो, most of them have SIPs. They are
Right.
dabbling into stocks also. They are tracking Nifty as well. They might have even invested into quant schemes,
Right.
but उनको पता नहीं होगा quant क्या है.
Right.
Right. So what is the basic difference between, let's say, a quant scheme versus a scheme by a traditional mutual fund scheme, which
Sure.
is often managed manually by the star fund manager?
Sure. So at a very high level, आप difference देखोगे तो जब भी एक fund manager is looking to invest या invest कर रहा है market में, तो वो लोग क्या करते हैं कि generally they look at the markets, उसके बाद वो view बनाते हैं stocks पे, sectors पे, and then वो view के basis पे वो portfolio construct करते हैं.
Right.
In some sense, quant में reverse order है.
Okay.
Because हम लोग क्या करते हैं, हम लोग डेटा देखते हैं,
हाँ.
हिस्ट्री देखते हैं, उस डेटा के बेसिस पे हम लोग मॉडल बनाते हैं, एंड एक बार हमने मॉडल बना लिया,
हाँ.
फिर हम मॉडल को अपना काम करने देते हैं, क्योंकि फिर ऑन अ डे टू डे बेसिस मॉडल डिसाइड करता है क्या खरीदना है, क्या बेचना है, बिकॉज उसी के अंदर वो डिफरेंस है कि जो बायस है,
right.
जो एक इंसान के डिसीजन मेकिंग से आता है,
हाँ.
ब्रॉडली दो बायस आते हैं, एक इमोशन आ जाता है,
हाँ.
और एक बायस आ जाता है कि मुझे कौन से स्टाइल फेवर करना है, कौन से किस तरह का मार्केट एनवायरनमेंट है, वो भी मेरे स्टाइल पे इम्पैक्ट करता है.
Right.
वो चीज को हम अवॉइड करते हैं क्वांट,
right.
बिकॉज वो मशीन है, राइट. तो उसके अंदर ना इमोशन आता है, ना स्टाइल बायस आता है. तो वो दो चीजें अवॉइड करके डेटा के बेसिस पे इन अ डिसिप्लिन में रिपीटेबल प्रोसेस बन जाता है, जो ऑन अ डे टू डे बेसिस आप रिपीट कर रहे हो और वही डिसीजन ले रहा है, राइट. सो वो एक ब्रॉड लेवल पे डिफरेंस है बिटवीन क्वांटिटेटिव इन्वेस्टमेंट एंड इन्वेस्टमेंट फ्रॉम अ फंड मैनेजर.
Makes sense. But मेरा एक follow-up question है. Given the current market situation, अभी इतनी uncertainty है, right? Fundamentals seems to be not working right now. But as you mentioned, एक algo setup हो गया है based on the past data set, right?
Right.
तो how do you ensure ऐसे market situation में that the algorithm will work, and also how do you ensure that you will know whether it is not performing well before it is too late, because we are dealing with real money, right?
Right. So see, quantitative investment में ना बहुत तरह की strategies होती हैं, right? कुछ strategies होती है, तो मैं आपको example देता हूँ, हमारा ही, right? हम कुछ strategies run करते होंगे जो एक दिन में let's say 10-20 हज़ार ट्रेड्स करता है, और कुछ strategies होंगी जो दिन के 4-5 ट्रेड्स करता है, right? So उनकी frequency अलग है, डेटा अलग चीजों पे दिखता है. कुछ स्ट्रैटेजीज हैं जो सिर्फ स्टॉक्स पे चलती है, कुछ स्ट्रैटेजीज है जो इंडेक्स पे चलती है, शायद ऑप्शंस पे चलती होंगी, फ्यूचर्स पे चलती होंगी, राइट. सो उनका सबका फ्रीक्वेंसी अलग है, डेटा देखने का तरीका अलग है. ओके, नाउ टू योर क्वेश्चन, इसमें होता क्या है ना कि जरूरी नहीं कि जो मैक्रो एनवायरनमेंट है उसका डायरेक्ट इनपुट होगा हमारी स्ट्रैटेजीज में, बट देयर इज एन इनडायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट, बिकॉज आज अगर जो कोई मैक्रो एनवायरनमेंट में कुछ हो रहा है तो उसकी वजह से प्राइस चेंज हो रहा है, वॉलेटिलिटी चेंज हो रही है, राइट. वॉल्यूम्स में कुछ चेंज हो रहा होगा, ऑर्डर बुक में कुछ चेंज हो रहा होगा, फ्लो में कुछ चेंज हो रहा होगा, राइट. बिकॉज वी आर सीइंग के कुछ एफपीआई के फ्लो में चेंज आ रहा है,
राइट.
म्यूचुअल फंड्स के बिहेवियर में कुछ चेंज आ रहा है, या कोई भी दूसरे एक इन्वेस्टर के तरीके में, राइट, ऑफ ट्रेडिंग. सो डायरेक्टली नहीं बट इनडायरेक्टली अ लॉट ऑफ दिस गेट्स कैप्चर्ड इन आवर मॉडल्स.
ओके,
राइट. सो उसकी वजह से क्या होगा कि मॉडल विल स्टार्ट अडेप्टिंग. आई एम नॉट सेइंग ऑन अ डेली बेसिस,
राइट,
बट इन अ शॉर्टर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम मॉडल विल स्टार्ट अडेप्टिंग टू द मार्केट एनवायरनमेंट, जो जनरली अगेन फॉर अ फंड मैनेजर बिकम्स डिफिकल्ट. आई विल टेल यू व्हाई. बिकॉज क्या होगा ना कि एक फंड मैनेजर होगा तो इन दैट केस दे विल बी लुकिंग एट मोर लॉन्ग टर्म डेटा. सो उन्होंने एक लॉन्ग टर्म पे, एक सेक्टर पे या स्टॉक पे व्यू बनाया जिसके बेसिस पे वो बाय एंड होल्ड स्ट्रेटजी चलाते हैं मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स,
राइट.
बट यहाँ पे क्या होता है, बिकॉज इट्स क्वांट एंड वी कैन एक्सेस अ वे ब्रॉडर सेट ऑफ डेटा. तो ब्रॉडर सेट में डेटा में क्या होता है कि फंडामेंटल डेटा, टेक्निकल डेटा, सेंटिमेंट, फ्लो, ये सारी चीजें आती हैं, जिसके अंदर ट्रेडिशनल डेटा भी है, ऑल्टरनेट डेटा भी है, लॉन्ग टर्म डेटा भी है, शॉर्ट टर्म डेटा भी है. तो ये सारी चीजें मॉडल या एक साथ करके हम लोग ये मॉडल बनाते हैं, कंबाइन करके. तो अगर हम कंबाइन कर रहे हैं तो उसके अंदर क्या होगा कि लॉन्ग टर्म का तो इनपुट है ही, तो वो अपने आप डिसीजन लेगा बेस्ड ऑन लॉन्ग टर्म. बट अगर जो शॉर्ट टर्म में कुछ चीजें चेंज हो रही है विच इज लाइक अ मैक्रो वेरिएबल, तो वो भी मॉडल को अल्टीमेटली इंपैक्ट करेगी या डेटा को इंपैक्ट करेगी, जिसकी वजह से आपका डिसीजन मेकिंग चेंज होगा. तो आपके जो स्टॉक्स बाय एंड सेल हो रहे हैं या सेक्टर्स में पोजीशंस चेंज हो रही हैं, वो अपने आप उसकी वजह से धीरे धीरे वो ट्रेंड चेंज हो जाएगा.
ओके, सो इस पूरे प्रोसेस में ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन सबसे ज्यादा कहाँ होता है व्हेन इट कम्स टू क्वांट इन्वेस्टिंग?
सो जस्ट कमिंग बैक टू योर पॉइंट, दो चीजें जो मैं आपको बता रहा था इंपॉर्टेंट है. एक है डेटा. So at AlphaGrep, because हम लोग ये 16 साल से करते आ रहे हैं, the breadth of data that is available to us is much wider.
Right.
Generally, most people have access to only traditional data, which is more fundamental technical. हमारे वहाँ fundamental technical के साथ alternate data भी है. When it's alternate data, flow data, sentiment data,
Right.
वो सारी चीजों पे हमारे पास access है. That's one. Second is because हम इतने साल से करते आ रहे हैं, depth of data, history of data is much longer. Because challenge क्या होता है इंडिया में कि आपको डेटा तो मिल जाएगा पर क्लीन डेटा नहीं मिलेगा.
Right.
तो आपको डेटा मिल जाएगा, उसको क्लीन करना पड़ता है, क्लीन करके स्टोर करना पड़ता है. लकीली हमारे वहाँ क्या है कि वी हैव अ सेपरेट डेटा टीम विद इन अ टेक्नोलॉजी फंक्शन जो एक ही काम करती है. इतने सालों से वो डेटा कलेक्ट कर रही है, तरह तरह का डेटा, उसको क्लीन करती है, स्टोर करती है लाइब्रेरी में. तो वो लाइब्रेरी का एक्सेस हमारे रिसर्चर्स को है, विच इटसेल्फ बिकम्स लाइक अ बिग रिपोजिटरी ऑफ डेटा.
राइट.
ठीक है, और अ बिग डिफरेंस. नाउ ये एक हो गया डेटा. नाउ let's say you and me have the same data also.
Yes.
Assume करते हैं कि same data available है. But until unless आपका और मेरा experience same नहीं है कि ये data के साथ करना क्या है.
Right.
So until unless you have an experience of building a quant model or the skill set of building a quant model, मेरा और आपका model same नहीं बनेगा.
Makes sense.
Right? That is exactly where our 200 plus researchers come in.
Okay.
So they have a pedigree, they have an experience, and they have a live experience of building, running models for close to, let's say, some people for more than a decade, some people close to 2 decades.
Right.
तो वो experience का बहुत फर्क पड़ता है because आपने cycles देखी है, और आपने cycles देखी है Indian markets में, right? So यहाँ पे क्या है ना, you're just not running strategies based on intuition.
Right.
आपको डेटा के बेसिस पे मॉडल बनाना है. तो ये दो चीज है, डेटा and the people who know what to do with that data. These two things are the biggest differentiators.
I'm just curious, as a retail investor, usually people invest, looking at the scheme and the fund manager.
Right.
कि, okay, this is the star fund manager. ये 4-5 schemes में already इन्होंने इतना returns दिए हैं.
Yes.
They are coming up with the scheme, करेंगे.
Yes.
Quant के case में there is no one face, right?
Yes.
You mentioned 200 plus
Yes.
researchers.
Yes.
As a retail investor, मुझे क्या देखना चाहिए?
Yeah. So it's a very relevant question. And I think इसका मैं एक तरह से ये जवाब दूंगा कि जरूरी नहीं है कि आज की तारीख में, जैसे सब लोग क्या है ना, एक ट्रेंड देखते हैं. सो इफ यू लुक एट द यूएस टुडे, अराउंड 15 years बैक वहां पे पैसिव का मार्केट शेयर इन केस ऑफ द एंटायर म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री वाज अराउंड 19%. टुडे इट इज मोर देन 50%. The reason I'm mentioning passives is because passive is nothing but a quant strategy, ना. कोई फंड मैनेजर तो नहीं है,
right,
वहां पे.
right.
The decision of what stocks go in or go out of the index is purely based on a certain logic.
Yes.
So it's the simplest form of quant. Second thing, I'll give you another data point. Last year in US, almost $1 trillion came into ETFs. Now most ETFs are either quant or passive.
Right.
Okay. And active mutual funds lost $250 billion. Okay. So if you see the trend over the last 10 to 15 years in the US, and the reason I'm mentioning US is ultimately जो US में होता है या West में होता है, with some lag India में भी होता है.
Right.
ठीक है. So if you look at the US today, the trend is simple. Money is moving from active to passive. Money is moving from managers or from funds which are being managed by fund managers to active quant. Now, why is this happening? In some sense, this is a structural shift, not a cyclical shift. Okay. And the reason I'm saying it's structural is for a very simple reason. In the last 15 years, do you think technology has only improved?
I mean, it has also improved along with other things.
Right. So if technology has improved over the last 10 to 15 years, technology has made access to data much easier.
Right.
So if you think about it, the amount of data which is available out there has shot up dramatically.
It has.
Right. Why are we seeing AI models today and not 10, 15 years back?
Yeah, training has become so much easier.
Right? Because what has happened is that training has become easier, access to data has become easier, technology has gone up phenomenally faster. Right? So because of this, the reason I'm saying this is a structural shift. Like somebody rightly pointed out, right? Like the AI model that we're using today is probably the dumbest model that we will ever use.
Yeah, it'll only get better.
It'll only get better, right?
Yep.
So precisely the point I'm trying to make is that if technology is only going to go up, access to data will only go up.
Right.
More and more data is going to be available out there, which simply means that what a machine will be able to do or process will become more and more difficult for a fund manager to do.
Absolutely.
Right? So what is happening in the US today is almost 80% of active funds are unable to beat the benchmark. And that's the reason why people are moving from active to passive. Right? Because passive funds are able to do better than active funds. Simply put, in India also, we are seeing that shift. Right? There is enough and more data which shows out there that large cap funds, a large percent of the large cap funds are not able to outperform the benchmark in the long term horizon, right? With the 2-year, 3-year rolling period, especially in the last 5-10 years, which was not the case earlier, which means our market's also becoming more matured and is becoming more and more difficult because of data.
Yes.
Right? So simply put, to answer your question, we believe that even in India, this shift will continue to happen. And in that case, what a retail investor needs to understand is that, yes, I need to maybe go to a quant strategy. Maybe if I just want market beta, then I go to a pure passive product. But if I want alpha, then one will have to see that which is an active scheme, which can use this data in an effective manner, can give me not just beta, but beta plus alpha.
Right.
Usi ke liye, they will have to choose an active quant fund. Now, within active quant, to your question, what people need to understand is that not just that कि मैंने अपने फंड को quant बोल दिया तो सारे quant funds का performance सेम आने वाला है, वो नहीं होगा. तो जैसे आप कोई एक्टिव मैनेजर को भी जब इवैल्यूएट करते हो तो आप देखते हो ना कि उसकी पेडिग्री क्या है, उसका बैक हिस्टोरिकल परफॉर्मेंस क्या है, काफी चीजें देखते हो, प्रोसेस देखते हो, एंड देन यू इवैल्यूएट एंड एलोकेट, राइट? सिमिलरली फॉर क्वांट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि जो आदमी बोल रहा है कि मैं क्वांट फंड चला रहा हूँ, वो सिर्फ नाम के लिए नहीं, बट उनके पीछे फर्म का पेडिग्री क्या है, बैकग्राउंड क्या है, उनका अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ क्वांट क्या है, राइट? एंड डू दे हैव द राइट डेटा एंड पीपल to build and run quant strategies.
I think we have seen similar pattern. Certain quant funds initially in the first 1-2 years they have given massive returns, but eventually the returns are decreasing now. What do you think could be the reason behind?
I'll tell you. So it's a very, very relevant point. So again, just to answer that question, what you see now generally, and not just with quant. Okay, so if you look at any active fund, you will generally see a lot of funds go through cyclical performance. What do I mean by cyclical performance is that you will, so let me take an example. Let's say pre-COVID, you had that entire 2-3 year phase when high quality and high growth stocks were doing well.
Yes.
Okay. And at that point of time, you had certain set of managers, okay, in the mutual fund space, maybe PMS, AIF space, who also did very well.
Yeah.
So they were outshining compared to others. Okay. Post-COVID, do you hear the same names?
No.
Right? Now, post-COVID in the last 3-4 years, let's say barring the last 1 year, let's say from 21 to maybe 23, 24, you heard a different set of names.
Yeah.
Right? Again in the PMS AI space, mutual fund space. और वो last 1 साल में उनका नाम वापस नहीं आ रहा है.
हाँ, even schemes भी बदल रही हैं.
Now, what happens is that ultimately, why does this happen? The reason this happens is because markets go through phases.
Yes.
What we call regime changes. हर 2, 3, 4, 5 साल में मार्केट्स गो थ्रू रेजिम शिफ्ट्स. रेजिम शिफ्ट्स का मतलब क्या होता है? एक रेजिम होगा जब वैल्यू अच्छा करेगा, एक रेजिम होगा जब क्वालिटी अच्छा करेगा, एक रेजिम होगा जब मोमेंटम चल रहा होगा.
राइट.
होता क्या है कि जब मार्केट का लेट्स से वैल्यू का रेजिम चल रहा है और एज अ फंड मैनेजर या एज अ मॉडल, मेरा अगर जो अलाइनमेंट वैल्यू के साथ है तो मैं बहुत अच्छा करूंगा. बट जैसे ही मॉडल या मार्केट का रेजिम चेंज हो गया, वैल्यू से लेट्स से क्वालिटी आ गया, एज अ फंड मैनेजर क्या होता है कि नॉर्मली आई स्टिक टू माय स्टाइल.
यस.
बट देन व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट माय स्टाइल कम्स इन फेवर व्हेन इट्स अलाइन्ड विद द मार्केट एंड गोज आउट ऑफ फेवर व्हेन द मार्केट इज नॉट अलाइन्ड विद माय स्टाइल.
राइट.
एंड दैट्स द रीजन यू सी very high outperformance and very high underperformance if I stick to a particular style.
Right.
To give you that example, lot of quant funds, what they also did in the last few years, because a lot of them came only in the last few years, what happened is that they built their models जब market एक तरह की style को favor कर रहा था.
The data set was different.
Data set and the phase between 21 to 24 actually was largely momentum driven.
Yes.
So a lot of people build their models favoring momentum, which is just one style of investing. तो अगर जो मैंने मोमेंटम स्टाइल पे अपना मॉडल बना दिया, क्वांट मॉडल, राइट, तो जब मोमेंटम अच्छा कर रहा था तो मैंने भी बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस दिया. जैसे ही मोमेंटम क्रैश्ड और स्टॉप डूइंग वेल, माय परफॉर्मेंस विल आल्सो टेक अ हिट.
Makes sense. Speaking of market cycles, लेट्स से अभी कोई इस साल या फिर लास्ट ईयर से किसी ने इन्वेस्ट करना शुरू करा है, व्हाट शुड बी द मिनिमम टाइम होराइजन दे शुड बी लुकिंग टू गेट ऑप्टिमम रिजल्ट्स? Because if we
Sure.
see all these majority of mutual fund schemes, they're giving 1 year period में they're giving single digit
returns. Yes. See, ultimately अपने को ये समझने की जरूरत है कि a lot of us who have started investing in the markets have probably come to the markets in the last 4-5 years. Largely post-COVID. So if you look at the demat account opening data, folio data, a lot of that is in the last 4-5 years. See, last 5 years is not representative of what happens in the equity markets. Right? Equity markets have gone through different phases, different cycles.
Yep.
So if I just go back, let's say 20 years. In a 20-year period, markets on worst 2-year rolling basis, Nifty has done a 20% negative CAGR. On a 3-year rolling basis also, Nifty has been negative point to point. Okay. Which means that कि जरूरी नहीं है कि मैंने अगर जो मार्केट में 2 या 3 साल के लिए पैसा लगाया तो मेरा पैसा बनेगा.
Right.
We can't take it for granted. Okay, just because we've not seen it in 5 years doesn't mean that it can't happen and it's not happened in the past.
Right.
And that's the reason it is very important कि जब कोई equity market में पैसा लगा रहा है, they should look at least a 5-year horizon in a pure equity strategy. And the other thing which is very important to understand is that see, in the last 4-5 years what we are seeing is that a lot of portfolios have got skewed towards equities.
Yes.
Because एक तो equity market ने अच्छा किया है और दूसरा tax की वजह से equity is more favorable compared to let's say fixed income as an asset class.
Yes.
Right? And returns on fixed income also were not very attractive. Now my only point to any investor would be that please stick to the asset allocation that favors your risk profile, which is very, very important.
Yep.
In fact, that is one of the reasons why when we are looking to launch a mutual fund, right? And we've already filed with SEBI a couple of strategies, but one of the strategies that we want to launch first is actually a multi-asset strategy.
Yeah, that's also the theme.
Yeah, so that is the theme running today.
Yeah.
But again, within that space, what we want to launch is not just a normal multi-asset which runs a passive allocation.
Yeah.
Of equity, fixed income, and commodities. You want to run a dynamic multi-asset strategy, which has a flexibility of moving between equity, fixed income, and commodities in an active manner.
Right. I'm just curious. Post-COVID, we have seen flexi cap became super popular, and that was until the whole, Middle East war started, and the second half of the last year.
Yes.
Now, as you also mentioned, multi-asset is the new theme.
Yes.
How long do you think this will last?
So, see, we've seen similar cycles in the past, right? And we've seen some of the themes also play out. Back in the day, I remember when I was doing mutual funds, we have this entire phase pre-2008, pre-GFC, where infra power used to do well. And for that 1-2 year period, we had tons of funds which were launched in the infra phase, and a lot of people ended up investing there because again, at that point of time, all those stocks, all those sectors in that space were doing very well. Everybody launched funds in that phase. And then we saw what happened in GFC, right? In fact, a lot of people who invested at that point of time probably didn't see their 100 rupees coming back to value even for 5 years.
Yes.
Similarly, what I would say is that, see, in a lot of these themes, a lot of times what people end up doing is return chasing. Right? कि इस time पे अच्छा क्या कर रहा है? Just chase those returns. Which again, to my mind, is a recipe for some kind of a problem to happen or for a disaster, right? Because when you're chasing returns, you ignore risk and you ignore your asset allocation,
right?
Okay, like even let's say for a multi-asset strategy, right? When I look at most portfolios today, broadly, most of them, what they do is closer to 55-60% is equities.
Yes.
Right, 10 to 15% is in gold silver, and the balance 20-25% is in fixed income.
Or less also.
Or less as well, right? Now, think about it. Let's say if equities don't give you the same returns that we saw in the last, let's say, 3 or 5 years, CAGR, I don't think, or at least we don't believe that gold can repeat what it has done in the last 1 year.
Yes.
Right? A lot of these funds are looking very good today because that equity did well in the last 3-4 years. And in the last 1.5 years, gold, silver has probably more than doubled.
Right.
And hence the overall returns are looking very, very good today. But if we don't believe, or if we believe that gold can't repeat what it has done in the last 1-2 years, and if equities doesn't do the same stellar performance that it had in the last 3-5 years, then 100 में से मेरा 75 rupees तो वहाँ पे allocated है.
Right.
तो वो return repeat कैसे होगा future में?
Makes sense.
Right. So that is a question that we need to ask. That do you expect this to continue? If you don't expect that to continue, then how will you get a similar performance? And that's the reason it's important to move in and out of some of these asset classes at the right time and reallocate. जो for an individual मुश्किल हो जाता है.
हाँ.
And which is where, you know, we wanted to build an automated model.
Right.
कि without somebody thinking about it, मैं अभी gold बहुत चल गया है, तो उसमें से cut करूँ allocation, नहीं cut करूँ. Equity चल गया है, तो should I cut allocation, reduce, increase? That's the reason we built an automated model. And plus, because it comes in a mutual fund format, it becomes automatic, operationally easy, and tax efficient.
Yeah. Now, since soon you will be launching scheme for retail. I mean, AlphaGrep has, is trading in 30 plus exchanges globally,
yes.
Right? What is your reading about Indian investors compared to global investor, let's say China or US? What makes Indian investors unique, especially when it comes to, retail investors?
Sure. So see, I think in like what I have seen historically, okay, behaviorally, how retail behaves, right? I don't think it's different anywhere around the world.
Is it?
It's a behavioral thing.
Okay.
Right? So retail investors behave in a certain way, right? Which I think is a behavioral pattern which exists around the world. Obviously, in some places, you might see smaller nuances which are different from one place to another, which is more, let's say, linked to a particular market,
right?
Linked to, what you may see culturally, and linked to broadly in that market, how a particular asset class would have done. But what happens behaviorally with retail investors versus behaviorally what happens with institutions is a different way of behaving,
yes,
which is, in my view, very similar globally. Right. Having said that, yes, we have seen a big trend over the last now close to 5 years and maybe closer to a decade where retail has started investing in equities in a much bigger fashion. It has become a larger portion of their portfolio which they're investing in equity markets, which is good. Because ultimately, if there is a liquid asset class, right, which has liquidity and can beat inflation, right, over a long period of time, that's equity. Right? Fixed income, yes, can do it, but in a very small way to get the real returns out there compared to inflation beating returns. So I think which is a good trend.
Right.
But having said that, like I said, very important that we should not get just swayed by the recent returns, and hence it is very important for anyone to stick to their risk profile and asset allocation, which is the key.
All right. Also, again, second question is how your strategy would be different when it comes to catering to retail versus HNIs, let's say.
See, I don't think we will have a separate strategy for both.
Okay.
Funds, yes, will cater to two different segments. Like for example, आप देखोगे तो currently, we already run 2 Cat 3 IFs. We have a PMS in the long only space. We also have a fund in Gift City, which is also a Cat 3 IF, but it's investing outbound. So it's a dollar-based product. Because these were all registered as AIF, PMS, right, or even Gift City as AIF, these were all targeting high net worth clients or family offices because यहाँ पे minimum ticket size ही ज़्यादा है.
हाँ.
Like AIF में इंडिया में 1 करोड़ है, PMS में 50 लाख है, Gift City में $150,000 है. So they were targeting those segments. Obviously, उन products में जो आपको flexibility मिलती है, like AIF में हमको जो flexibility मिलती है, वो mutual fund में नहीं मिलती है. Right? Because AIF is designed for that.
Right.
AIF में हम लोग long short strategies कर सकते हैं, हम derivatives का काफी ज़्यादा usage कर सकते हैं. Right, which means we can participate in the markets on both sides.
Right. Mutual fund में only SIF, which is recently introduced.
Yes, that is true. Which hopefully at some point of time we will also want to launch, considering we have expertise on derivatives, long short, and long only. Ultimately, it's going to be a combination of that is what we will do on SIF, including, let's say, investing across different asset classes. वो भी हम करेंगे आगे जाके, now that we have a mutual fund license. But ये भी समझना जरूरी है कि yes, SIF में हमको flexibility मिली है. But having said that, वो flexibility एक limited nature की है. Right. Like for example, आप compare करोगे SIF versus Cat 3 long short, तो SIF में आपका gross exposure 1x पे capped है, जो Cat 3 में 2x है.
Right.
SIF में आप net short only 25% तक कर सकते हो. Long short में कोई capping नहीं है. So differences फिर भी exist करेंगे, right, for some of these products.
Right.
So उस प्लेटफॉर्म में जो जहां तक हमको फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी मिल रही है म्यूचुअल फंड में, विद इन दैट जो हम बेस्ट कर पाएंगे इज व्हाट वी वांट टू लॉन्च.
राइट.
सो इट इज नॉट कि हमको रिटेल के लिए कुछ और करना है या HNI के लिए कुछ और करना है. दैट्स नॉट द ऑब्जेक्टिव. Objective is that we will have products across platforms, right? Obviously, each one of those platforms, have a different flexibility and a different minimum ticket size, and hence they will cater to a different segment. But we will provide, right, in whatever flexibility is available on every platform.
Do you think India में retail के लिए enough option है for global investments right now?
बढ़ रहे हैं. Enough है कि नहीं, at this point of time, I wouldn't say enough है, because again, ये last 2-3 साल का phenomenon है,
right.
Global products का scale बढ़ रहा है. Again, people have to understand is that कि when they're investing globally also, right, उसमें क्या risk है,
right.
currency का exposure क्या है, taxation का impact क्या है, rather than just blindly following कि भाई, last 1 साल में global fund ने better किया India fund, so मैं global fund में डाल दूँ. Because वो भी जरूरी है. क्योंकि आप ग्लोबली भी लगा रहे हो तो आप अल्टीमेटली इक्विटी कॉल ले रहे हो, राइट? कोई अगर जो प्रोडक्ट में तो इक्विटी ही है, राइट? सो अगर जो मार्केट्स वर्ल्ड वाइड गिरती है तो वो भी स्ट्रैटेजी गिर सकती है, राइट? सो दैट इज ऑल्सो समथिंग दैट पीपल नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. बट यस, ऑप्शंस बढ़ रहे हैं. जरूरी है कि लोग डाइवर्सिफाई करें, बिकॉज आप ग्लोबली देखोगे तो जनरली इन्वेस्टर्स का सिंगल कंट्री में एलोकेशन नहीं होता है 100% पोर्टफोलियो. जनरली कोई भी इन्वेस्टर का एलोकेशन आप ग्लोबली देखोगे तो मल्टीपल कंट्रीज में होता है. तो डाइवर्सिफिकेशन है, राइट? सो सिमिलरली इवन फॉर इंडियन इन्वेस्टर इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट कि दे डाइवर्सिफाई rather than taking single country exposure.
Right. I'm just curious, should they look at only emerging markets or developed market like US? First time global investor, let's say.
See, for a first time investor, it's like this, right? Let's say if I was investing for the first time in the equity markets.
Right.
Would I start with a small cap fund or would I start with a large cap fund?
Large cap, risk कम है.
Right? Because मैं पहली बार entry ले रहा हूँ.
Right.
Correct? So very similarly, when I'm looking at investing in global markets, that's a similar comparison out there. I would rather, even if it may give me lower returns, which actually US has not done, it's done probably better than most of the markets. But having said that, even it can potentially give me lower returns, I would still stick to a developed market versus an emerging market for a first-time investor. First, get the experience, get the hang of risk, get the hang of volatility, right? वो आप digest कर पा रहे हो, तब जाके आप दूसरे segments में invest करो.
All right. So, Bhautik, we are going to switch gears now. Sure. We are going to start our rapid fire round. I'll ask couple
sounds
of...
interesting.
So, I'll ask
Putting
couple
on a spot.
Yep. I'll ask couple of questions. Whatever come to your mind first, you have to answer that.
Sure.
Data or instinct, if you had to pick one for the rest of your life?
Data never lies.
Okay. One market myth that drives you absolutely crazy?
That markets are always... perfect. That markets, don't behave randomly.
Okay. A retail investor with 10,000 rupees and no knowledge, index fund or quant fund?
Index. It's simple.
Okay. Bull market or bear market, which one is more exciting for quant?
Bear market probably gives us more opportunities.
Okay. One number you look at every single morning before anything else?
What is the risk that we are running on our strategies?
Okay. One human emotion that destroys more wealth than anything else in markets?
Overconfidence.
Okay. Last question. You need to finish this sentence. Most people think quant investing is about beating the market, but it is actually about?
It is actually about discipline.
Okay. All right.
To generate consistent performance.
Okay. All right, Bhautik. Thank you so much for taking time out and talking to Fires.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you so much, Kanishka. This was amazing.
Likewise.
Thank you.
For our listeners who want to learn more about AlphaGrep and what they are building in India, we will have all the details linked in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share and subscribe. It genuinely helps us bring more conversations like this to you. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning and keep investing with Fires.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risk. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.